to make an impact these days. But then I wonder, what does impact look like? How big does it have to be? And how do you measure it? And that comes from a guy that got a degree in finance and has been doing number crunching and Lean Six Sigma for the last 5 years. But here is my story for the last 7 years, chasing impact. And it always turned out to be a moving target. What do I mean? Well, I need to take you back to when I turned 40 and I look back at this gorgeous guy and ask myself, what have I achieved? Well, there's a lot of things I could say, but I better keep it for another TED Talk. But my father one day when I was 10 told me, close your eyes. Everything you see is yours. So I had a good start. But I ended up living in 4 countries. I learned 4 languages. I forgot my mother tongue, by the way. And that doesn't count learning Bahasa because there was only cursing words that I learned. And by then I had been in 50 countries. Let me see. I was 21. I was already driving a Mercedes, which I slammed against a tree a year later. And then, of course, I had fun until the age of 30, until I had to file bankruptcy. I was only 27 when I went back to university, and I took 2 majors cum laude in 3 years. By the age of 40, I was already working for DHL. I started as a clerk, and I ended up as an expat manager working in Malaysia. But why? I didn't feel happy about it. I didn't know what I was going through work. I didn't feel any passion. I think at my age, we call it midlife crisis. I'm not sure what they call it at your age. And it was so bad that, mind you, I was bald at that time already. But one thing I was sure about it, I didn't want to grow in a company anymore. I had no interest to become senior executive. Instead, I had the crazy idea to become the CSR ambassador in my office out of volunteering, besides my daytime job. Now you wonder, why would you do that? Well, I was just curious to see what does it take to lead 1,400 people, 27 nationalities, working 24/7, and yet nobody reported to me. Well, after the first year, I screwed up. When I asked around, my colleagues' opinion about CSR actually dropped by 3 percentage points, 76%. I should have quit by then, but then I realized, you know what, I'm going to take the challenge. How do we change this? And what I realized, I needed to do things very differently. So the very first thing is I slapped a whiteboard in the lobby, which everyone could see, with all of the KPI measurement. You know, I'm a number guy, right? And all of the schedule of the CSR activities over the week and over the month. But what was more important is I needed to stop this perception that I was the one coming up with activities. I wanted to be a bottom-up approach and just be the facilitator. So I organized that every Wednesday at 1:30, anyone can come in the lobby. They could just come and listen what was going on in CSR, what this old man has to say. But then slowly people would start pitching ideas for CSR activities. And even more, if an NGO wanted to work with us, they had to pitch to my colleagues because I needed to get their buy-in first, but also I needed someone to run the activity. Of course, that didn't work very well at the beginning. And mainly because I realized that when I asked around to my colleagues, what does leader responsibility mean to you? I realized I needed to change their mindset. But what does that mean? Well, I gotta take you back to my midlife crisis moment. And when I was looking back at my life, I also realized that in my lifetime, I saw the birth and the death of the long plane. Some of you are probably too young to remember. And then the cassette. And then came the DVD and the CD and the floppy disk. Now, where did they all go? Oh yeah, I put them in the trash. Probably everybody else did the same thing those days. But this means that if it went into an incinerator, I'm reading it today as I'm speaking to you. Or if it went into the landfill, it probably got washed into the river and ended up in the bottled water that I just had a few minutes ago. Or worst case scenario, ended up in the ocean, and that's probably what I had in my sushi and sashimi a couple of days ago. Holy cow. Until that moment, I lived my life on 3 principles. Don't steal, except for the postcard at the gift shop. I used to enjoy doing that. Don't kill, and use a condom. And then I realized that it was something more important. And it was the negative impact my action could have on society and the environment, and ultimately myself. So that was the good reason for me to start changing my life and start chasing impact. Of course, I started recycling. And then, of course, I also went to a tree planting event. 300 people planting a few trees, lots of bushes. There was a fellow giving us a motivational speech, telling us how good we were doing to Mother Earth. And then the next thing, I look around and I'm like, we all eating in a plastic plate, with a plastic fork, a plastic spoon, drinking in a plastic bottle, and we put it all into the trash. And then I took a step back and I'm like, what am I doing? Is the tree that I just planted good enough to offset my negative impact to the environment that I did today? Maybe I was better off just stay home and read the newspaper. So I continue chasing impact, and I go to an orphanage to go so much joy to the children that need the most. But what happened is that there is a kid, 15 years old, chasing me for 5 hours, begging me to adopt him. And here I take a step back again and I ask myself, what am I doing? Am I making an impact to this guy? That's not what he wants. He just wants to get out of here. I don't even want to put a picture of this because I tell you, 6 years later, I still haven't been able to go back to an orphanage. But I continued my search and I decided to join a good friend of mine, a doctor. He said, come with me, we're going to take care of old folks. You know, the one that family usually abandons and society forget about it. And after a couple of months, I'm like, every time I go there, a few of them are gone. I mean, not gone back to their family, they're gone, they're dead. And a few of them come in. Now, this place will never be empty. I'm not solving any problem. But what was worst about it was the day I was proudly and feeling good about myself, cleaning the wound of this old man, and he had a look in his face as if he wanted to tell me, just let me go. And then I stop again and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Am I making an impact to this guy? So I continue my search. I'm still working at DHL and I found out that I have this program, disaster response team. We go to the airport after national disaster and we do warehousing management. So there I go, I leave the comfort of my desk and I go to Nepal, and then I went to the Philippines and to Indonesia to ride a forklift for 12 hours a day in the scorching sun, so we can unload the planes, load the truck, and send them to the people that need the most. Wow, that felt good. I think I found my passion. The truth to be told, that was what gave me a purpose to keep working at DHL for the next 10 years. Now, luckily, we don't have natural disaster every day, but I get my fix going here because now I'm getting going, I'm getting excited, I got the mojo. So then I realized that, okay, I've been in a business for almost 20 years, let me go teach business to urban poor youth. It's a noble thing to do, right? So I go to Chow Kit, I have my black and white picture of Chow Kit. Yeah, I know what the problem is, I know what they need. So I walk in, and I start teaching them problem management and project management. 5 minutes later, they're all passed out. What I learned was the importance of listening to them. It's a vibrant society. Understand their passion, understand their dreams. And all they want to do was performing arts. And I'm like, I don't know anything about performing arts. So I said, okay guys, this is what we're going to do. You're going to do your performing arts, but you're going to do it in a sustainable way. Don't take any donation. And you're even going to make some money out of it. And by the way, when you set up the props for the stage, you will use recycled material. And so we went on for about 3 years until eventually they got old enough to move on in their life and pursue new dreams and new aspirations. By that point, I asked myself, okay, it took me 3 years for 6 kids. Can I do this in a more effective way? So then I decided instead to start mentoring out school students as they work on their community project. Or mentoring social enterprises as they start their business. Because when I figure, if I can help them to become sustainable financially and operationally, while they go towards the social and environmental mission that they achieve for it, and make sure, by the way, they don't screw up any further without making a negative impact, then it's a win-win situation. I win, they win. And it was at that point that I also realized, maybe this is what I have to do with my colleagues. How about I share my journey with my colleagues and take them to the same path from doing good to creating value? How do you do this? Well, it's very simple. Tapping into their passion. Never mind what their purpose is. It's as personal as it was mine. As long as we all have a common purpose, which is to go beyond charity and don't make it any worse to society and the environment. And have fun with it, of course. So there we go. For those of them that they wanted to plant trees, right? I said, forget it. Let's grow fruit and vegetables in my office, on the rooftop, organic. So then people can actually see what they grow and eat it, enjoy it, right? For those that actually wanted to do recycling or they wanted to go do a beach cleanup, I said, forget it. Let's start recycling in the pantry. And then maybe we start telling our employees to bring the recycling to the office. And then it was too much, we need to start sorting the recycling. 45 tons, plastic, paper, glass, aluminum, light bulbs, electronics. Of course, traditional CSR is about fundraising. But what if we stop donation and instead we start working for the money? Like my colleagues, they would bake cakes and sell them to get the money. And then what if instead of making a donation to the beneficiaries, we make the money work? Like in this case. This piece of equipment has been used for the last 5 years by a mobile eye care doctor unit in a remote area of the country. And then what if we also volunteer with them? So my employees could see the impact of the money that they raised, that they've invested, and by a simple action, just helping to do the pre-screening, they make an impact to the life of a child that couldn't go to school for the last few months, or an old man that couldn't ride his motorbike anymore. And that's when creativity kicked in. So now we also do collecting unwanted food from a grocery store and bring it to an orphanage to feed 75 children every week. Of course, as the journey continued, then my colleagues joined me to mentor more high school projects and also to coach more social entrepreneurs. And then we're like, okay, what else can we do? How can we go further? Let's help the social entrepreneurs to become self-sustainable. So we became ambassadors, like my colleagues, that promotes an organization that sells food prepared by a refugee family, because we know when we buy for impact, every ringgit that we spend, we help a refugee family to earn an income. And the journey goes on. With more than 700 activities in the last 6 years, trying to reach out to about 9,000 beneficiaries, but we didn't forget about also doing activities to reduce our CO2 emission out of the office more than 4,000 tons. Is that impact? I think the real measure will be at the end of this year, when I step down as ambassador, and let's see what happens. Because like I told you at the beginning, for me, impact is just being a moving target. But there is a few things that I learned that I want to share with you again. Find your passion. And mind you, it will change over time, especially when you hit your midlife crisis. Find your purpose. And I'm not talking about the noble cause. I'm talking about your own personal reason why you want to do something. The one that will give you pleasure, and the one that will give you the strength to fight for it. And if you choose to drag people along with you, tapping into their passion, never mind what their own personal purpose is. It's the same as yours. As long as you all have a common purpose, which means not to screw up any further when you do something. But before you do something, the slide first. Before you do something, make sure you understand your community. Because sometimes your solution may not be the best one. And once you are ready to get started, do small things the big way. You don't need to go plant trees outside if you can only recycle at home. If you help one person, do it one at a time and make sure that the person will help someone else. Because then you will see how your impact becomes a moving target and has a ripple effect. Thank you.